Hey again, RogueWave here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the NotArb spam strategy setup. I'm sure you're not having a good time with the Jito strategy and the limitations Jito has implemented, thus you decided to try the spam strat. So, what is spam? Basically, you're finding an opportunity and you just send it. You just keep sending transactions in the hope that one lands to get you that big gain. We'll look at three main areas: server selection, validator selection, and the key settings to get the bot working. At the end, I'll also be going over a tool that you can use to analyze the performance. As a disclaimer, this video is based on version 0.1.95, and the setup will be different from upcoming versions for NotArb. We'll update the videos as those versions are released. Your server selection will be based on where you get your staked RPC or validator nodes. You also want a fast server where high clock speed matters. Ryzen 9s are advisable, and here's a list of some providers where you can get them. So some of these providers actually have discount codes that you can use in order to reduce upkeep. If there are any that are missing from the list, feel free to drop them in the Discord. First one we got is NodeStop, and you can use Nexus-VPS for 20% recurring discounts on VPSs, and then Nexus BM for 10%. You got Bloom.host and 10x. As I stated in another video before, you can use Urban 10x for a 10% discount. Rackdog, HostKey, Cherry Servers, Latitude.sh, and many others. And these are just a number of providers that can set you up fairly quickly. Before you do anything, now figure out where you're going to get your validator from so you can properly plan your location that you want to be doing this out of. You're going to need a very good validator provider with a solid send RPC to increase your success rate for landing. It would also need to be paired with an RPC that has Shredstream and the Yellowstone gRPC plugin for fast data retrieval to get the prices as quickly as possible. Most of the providers have all of this in like their single package, but it will require some investment, so don't be shocked at the prices. Here's a list of a number of validators and their prices. They'll do it for hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. Most of these providers have a trial period that you can use, and all you gotta do is ask them, and then they'll whitelist your server IP for a little bit, try it out, and then if it works out for you, then you can actually commit. So how most of these work is there are people that buy their NFTs that allows them to essentially rent their nodes out, and those might be the people that you're interacting with, where you see people on Discord where it's like, hey, rent from so-and-so nodes. That's probably a user that has slots available for them. If you're interested in trying out SharkNode, you can message me either on my Discord as AXB or Twitter, RogueWave. I got locations in Frankfurt, Ashburn, and New York City as well. There's also a Discord group called Node Rentals, started by WhatUp and Rotary Guy. This is a place where you can get insight and information about the different validator providers, as well as getting help about setting up your spam bot. All the links for the validators, Discords, and discounts will be provided below in the description. Okay, cool. We got the two things that we need: the server and a very good RPC. Assuming that you already have the NotArb platform set up from the previous video, we'll be using the version 0.1.95 for this demo. Just know that the setup will be different from the Jito strategy. Going into the bot config file, under the bot miscellaneous, so we'll just set up some basic stuff here. For the key pair path, like I said before, you can set the path to whatever it is. I'm setting it to key.txt. It'll be in the same file as everything else. I'll just delete that. Swap threads. Now, for the thread allocation, if you don't know, you can just leave these at 0 and then play with them later. But for Jito, let's just comment that out. Spam threads, yeah, we'll put to -1. And the things we're going to add is that we're going to acknowledge some of the stuff set by MEEP, where we're going to acknowledge the terms of service as well as the external price risk. Next up is the Jupyter Hub. So depending on what you set your Jupyter API to in the Jupyter config file, you want to make sure that they both match up. Now under this part where we have all these Jito hubs, let's just delete those. Instead, we're going to be putting in RPC hubs. So right now I'm going to be using Shark, Pixel Pilots or Pixel Labs, as well as v0.7, and I'm just gonna do them one at a time, but you can follow along here. So under the RPC, we'll set the ID to Shark URL, and this is the one for the Ashburn, and then HTTP will keep alive, just setting it to that value, and then I'm just gonna paste in the other ones I have here. Oop. And here's v0.7. Alright, so now that I've got the RPC stuff in there, we're going to start adding in some other useful features, such as the wrap sol unwrapper. So RPC, we can set that to Shark. Okay, so first off, enable true, and then the RPC. So it's going to select whatever RPC you decide to use. It could be either one of these as long as they're up and running. And here, check minutes, how many minutes it'll check to see if it meets this minimum sol requirement, and then it'll automatically unwrap that amount of Solana. Depending on how busy the network is, you might want to put in a priority fee, and hopefully it doesn't fail and it'll keep going through. Just know, under heavy loads, the highest tip will definitely get that transaction through, but if it doesn't, then your bot's going to try to attempt transactions but fail because it doesn't have any Solana to pay for any of the gas or priority fees. And another useful feature will be the token account fetcher. And what this is going to do is it's going to get all of the associated token accounts under your wallet, and then it'll let the bot know, like, hey, these are the ones active for a feature later on that we're going to talk about. Yeah, for the dynamic mints, now highly advisable to use your own custom mint list, and this feature will be going away pretty soon, so we can just delete all this, but we are going to have to define our own mint list for this one. What we can do is add this hub, file mints, enable it, untradeable cooldown in case it finds that the token or mint that you're looking for is untradeable by Jupiter, then it won't spam it, it'll just be on a cooldown for however long you set it. Update seconds, however long you want to update your mint list. And then the path, you can go ahead and set that path to wherever you might want to list it. I'm just going to set this one here to what I got, and that's just going to pull from the list I have automatically download. Alright, now for this demo, I'm just going to be using Sol, and basically under the swap hub, enable true, mint will be Solana, and then under the default strategies, so Jito enabled, set this to false, and this is where you're going to have to play around with everything. But what you would want to do is definitely have your list of spam senders in a list like this format, so listing all of them that you defined up here. So if I label this one Shark D's, then that means Shark D's would have to be there, and I have to probably update this one too, because it's all pulling from, or it's all going to be pulling from that RPC right there. And then skip pre-flight, so it's not going to do any simulation. Max retries, how many retries it'll do, and then unique, and set that to false. If we set it to true, it's going to send many of the different unique transactions, and that's going to burn through a lot of sol through priority and gas fees, so just be cautious. The other setting that you'll also need is spam max opportunity age in milliseconds, however long you want this opportunity to be around before you decide not to send it anymore. And that's why I said before, where you want the server to be fast at calculating, and then hopefully fast at sending, and your RPC will be fast as well, to where by the time this time has expired, the transaction would have gone through. If not, then it's just going to move on to the next one. And And then finally below, all the stuff that we're going to use. So we're not going to use the static tip for Jito, and then there, we're just going to use Solana for now. Now you can set your min swap route, so definitely have minimum set to 2. And one thing you want to consider is compute units. So take a look, do some research, figure out how many per max swap route that you might need, and just know that the one with the lowest will definitely get prioritized first, and it'll be quicker to calculate. So you want to land with the highest possibility of success. Another thing you are going to want to do is set your min-max priority fees. And this is going to basically let you know, or let the bot figure out like, hey, what's the minimum I'm going to tip with this swap strategy, and then what's the max I'm going to do it with. It'll choose a number randomly between the min and max, and then the min gain SOL that you want to get from this transaction. And the thing with this is that you're trying to figure out the right combination of settings. So just know most of your transactions are going to fail, but then hopefully the one that you land will overcome all the losses. And yeah, so we're only going to set that for now, and go into Jupyter. So here is all the stuff that we can get rid of, just to make it look a little bit neater. Going up to the manager, so Jupyter path, we can leave that as is, same with the startup command, and auto restart. Depends on how long you want this thing to restart, and refresh the mint list. Under the environment settings, if you're going to keep it on your local host, you can remain as this. Same thing with the port. Now your RPC URL, depending on who you decide to go with, use their RPC link. So for this one, I'm going to put the Shark Labs one. And then the Yellowstone gRPC endpoint, I'm going to use their Geyser link. Now they don't have an X token, so I'm going to delete that, uncomment the gRPC enable ping, just so it stays active. And then we're going to allow circular arbitrage remote for the market mode, depending on if you have your own custom market cache, you can set it to file or any other way you want to get that delivered to the API. And then yeah, let's exclude Moonshot and Pump Fun. Oop. And Orbic too, because I think they still have some issues. Alright, so for the dynamic lists here, let's go ahead and delete all this stuff. We're not going to use that. We're using custom. And then same thing with the static mints and all that. Let's see. Static, we're going to get rid of. And then here is the mint list. Okay. So I am going to use a file list. Set this enable to true. And let's see, what was my thing that I used for the previous one? Whoop. Yeah, this is the path right here. Using this path. So it's going to pull from, it's going to pull the mint list from this file. And then I'm not going to use a URL. Cool, and that's basically everything you pretty much need for the Jupyter config. You can play with this stuff later, but this is what you can use for now. Oh yeah, before we begin, let's add another layer of security by adding protect key pair equal to true. Save it, and let's upload and start the bots. So if we take a look at the Jupyter screen where we have our Jupyter API running, we can see that's pulling the current prices for all the tokens we have listed. If we switch to our bot screen, we can see that the bot's up and running. In the background, it's making all the quotes to the Jupyter API, and if any of those meet the min gain that we set in our swap strategy, then it's going to attempt to send the transactions. Right now, nothing's happening. Market's kind of bad, so we'll see what happens. And a part of the strategy too is knowing when to turn these bots on. So if the market's doing really well, turn them on. If it's not, you can just leave them off unless you have something that's really good. So there's a number of ways you can look at the performance of your bot and the settings that you've implemented. So one is to use SoulScan by taking a look at your wallet address. And just so you know, this one is not mine. I kind of wish it was, but soon. And you can take a look at the transactions and go into every individual one. Here you can see some of the failed ones, and you can take a look at them, do some analysis like, all right, compute units used, and other things that might be useful. You can hide failed using that button here, show the max amount, 40 on here, and these are the ones that you can take a look at that actually went through. So this one has a mix of Jito and looks like spam. So a tool that you can use is Circular.bot, and if you go to that site, you can take a look at in-depth analysis on any given wallet. And you can go through here, you can take a look at the trending ones. I actually pulled up the number 3 one, and that's what is here. And you can see roughly the amount that they made. And you can sign up for the account and take a look at different things. So if I click into this one that we were looking at, over the day period, you can take a look at their gains in USD and the transactions. So this person had over 121,000, and you can see that this is the amount that actually succeeded. So nearly 14%, and this is how many actually failed. So you can see here, Jito, that amount made through that, and then this amount made through direct or spam. If you go to the analytics section, you can start looking at stuff where there's like volume, let's see what else, average fees paid by them, Jito tips, compute units, as well as the dexes that were utilized, and other useful tools. So very handy, very helpful. And what you can also do is take a look at their plan. So right now, anyone can have one, but they're limited to one cluster with 3 wallets, and then they have a thing called fast, but that's something we're not going to go over. In terms of data, you can have it within the day or a week, and they have other services too if you're interested. But if you are and you want to save 5% on it, then you can use this code or this link to sign up, and hopefully it'll help you out and get you going. So there you have it, all the basics and the high-level overview of the NotArb spam strat. If you have any questions, feel free to come to the Discord, and as a reminder, there will be updates in the future that will have major setting changes. When they come out, I'll be able to make a video for that as well, so stay tuned. In the meantime, good luck and happy arbing.